spool is brand new, it's more than a meter circumference. When it gets lower and lower and lower, it's less. So you're never getting a real good number. Like I said, it's approximately higher.
So
Exactly.
Jeff, is that more accurate than what's on the jacket?
Well, if you're reading the foot markers, see, you're not going to know. If you don't know what the run is, I mean, you say it's 2,000 feet. Okay, you can do the math and convert the meters to feet and say, okay, well, I should be coming and getting close. Okay, so that's an approximate. Same thing with doing it's 2,000 feet. That relates to 2,000 feet, 100 feet per minute. That's 20 minutes. So I can watch my clock and say, okay, hey, you get ready to catch it.
Because it's moving. You're not actually reading it as it's moving. You
Right.
can't see the jacket.
Exactly. The only thing you can do is write it down at the beginning and then at the end after it stops. Right. And then that's when you jot down your actuals. Okay. Because this is actually what I do right here. I take my as-built and I pin it to the wall. And I have my run list right here, and I'll write up here exactly what I'm doing and put my true footages, my actuals on all my runs. So, okay. So yeah, that's what that's about. You can use it if you like. Personally, I kind of got away from it years ago just because the 100 feet per minute just makes me more happy. Okay. Okay. Blowing tip, just screws on, it just threads right over this. Even if you're doing the 48 strand, which is a 3.7 cable, OD cable, you can still just ring off a little bit of the PEF, like about 3/16 of an inch, and then screw the blowing tip right over the 4 subunits, the blue, orange, green, brown. It'll thread right over the top of those. It's a 4mm tip on the OD of the tip, so cable's 3.7, so you're right streamlined. You're looking real good. So you can still use that 3mm tip. All right, lacing up the fiber. Okay, when we first start off, we got an air seal in the machine, and it has a slit in it, okay, as you know from doing the tandem demo. But we don't really care about the slit. We just pop it on through and push it on down the window, go past the T's, usually a good rule of thumb. But when you put the air seal in, you want the air seal at 6 o'clock low or 12 o'clock high. You don't want it at 3 or 9 because then it bleeds out the side of the block. It's a leak. So whatever you prefer. I think you've read the book. It says 12 o'clock high, but I usually go 6 o'clock low because that's me.
Because you're a rebel.
Hmm?
You're a rebel.
Yeah, whatever. It's just the way it comes together. But forward pressure on the window is the object of the game, to get a nice tight air seal. Keep your thumb and hand out of the doorway. So just forward pressure on the window. Make sure the PEF is in the groove. You don't want it over here because it'll get smashed in the door. So PEF in the groove, forward pressure, nice tight seal. Close it, trap it, and then latch it. That way you get a nice tight crimp when you latch the front. Second thing are the guides. They're both identical. One goes on the bottom first, second one goes above it, and you push it in until it goes click, because there's a pressure pin right here. So a pressure pin snaps in. Now you go back latch, and that kind of seals the deal. Okay, so you're my guy? Okay, hang on. All right, face down, please. And so now I call my guy and say, okay, I'm charging the line. Remember, gas travels 30 seconds per thousand typically. So I would say charge in line, I turn on the gas, and we would wait until he calls back and says, you got good flow. So I got good flow. Then we would come up here and do the crack it, floor it, tune it. So crack it, we're listening to the motor. Let me get a couple more pounds. So listen to the motor. We're going to crack it, hear the low. Go floor it, go to the high. So crack it, floor it, and then tune it. Find the sweet spot in the middle. So crack it, that's low. Floor it, that's high. Sweet spot in the middle, slow it down. Can you see it? Right there, you hear it? Now bring it back up just a little bit, and I just tuned it for 70 pounds. Okay? So I can drive it in, and if I increase the pressure, I can still tune the next pressure. Okay? So meanwhile, back at the ranch, you're watching this. Okay? Typically, I'd be waiting for that guy to say, I got what I want, I got my number, because we always want to have that slack paid out as much as that room wants.
Yeah.
Okay, if it needs 50, 60 feet, then we want 60 feet peel out.
Yeah.
Okay, you know how to count cable 5, 10,
Yes.
like that?
Yeah,
That's the
right.
same thing you do. It comes rolling out, you grab the head, that's 5.
Keep it.
That's 10,
Okay.
that's 15, that's 20, whatever your number is, and then you call this guy stop. Because you don't want to, like I said, you don't want to stop in the middle of a run if you don't have to. Keep that momentum.
Yeah.
That's your gas flow, that's momentum, you want to keep that. Okay, so now that we got the fiber over there, if this was a real deinstall, 9 out of 10 times a real deinstall has nothing to do with the blowing head. All it takes is a tank of gas, a couple jack stands, an axle, and a Sumitomo spool. Okay. In this kind of scenario, which has only happened to me once in 17 years, is to where I actually blew in a fiber, and somebody came back and said, "Hey, that's the wrong flavor. That's supposed to be a single mode or a
Oh,
multi-mode,
no.
blah, blah, blah." Well, I was just going with the
Yeah.
guy, I was going with my point of contact. I'm following him, I'm helping him do it, but I don't know his job,
Yeah.
what his stuff is. So he gives me a spool, I show him how to set it up, turn it on, say, okay, we'll drive it in. We drove it in, 25, 2,600 feet. The foreman drives by in the truck and goes, "Hey, that's the wrong color." So we had to blow it back out. So when you blow stuff back out, in the real world, we would take the supply line and plug it onto tube 2, okay? Assuming this is tube 1. Plug it on tube 2, this would be a multi-tube cable, no doubt. So gas would go down and come out on tube 2.
Yep.
You make a reverse jumper, come off 2, come back onto 1, and we can blow the fiber
And you
right
can
back
just
here.
slide it right over whatever excess you got.
Exactly, and we don't have to move the tank. See? That's labor.
Yeah.
That's truck, that's dolly, that's manpower, that's time, okay? So, in this case, we just gotta put a jumper right on top of, over that excess material, and then I gotta put this on this gas line, and he's gonna lace that on, and while he's doing that, I gotta get the glove.
Your garter's the.
Hey, this is actually a cable glove, okay? Has the
Looks
rubber
like
dots.
my garden gloves.
Yeah, white cotton, rubber dots.
It's only
for
one
pulling
single
cable.
glove. It's Michael Jackson.
Well, a lot of times they call it the Michael Jackson glove.
I was just gonna say this is Michael.
So, but the main thing is in the book, it tells you to use a clean white cotton glove. Okay. Main thing is you want to. It could be leather, but it just needs to be clean. You don't want a greasy, icky glove because this is the PEF. You want to keep the PEF clean and dry. You don't want to contaminate it with oily skin. Plus, if you don't use a glove, the friction alone will burn through your skin and make you bleed. So you want a glove, okay? So we undo the buckles, hop out the fiber guides, open the door, bend the rubber, peel off the air seal, keep the fiber straight, air seal goes back in the block, close the door so we don't lose it, and now put on the glove. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to put the glove on my right hand and spin manually the spool with my left, okay? Now when I turn on the gas, okay, first of all, just so you know, you got to take this little cork and cork off this T because the gas is going to hit that T, come over here and bleed out, and it's going to reduce my pressure a bunch. So I'm going to cork that off, save the gas, and utilize it. The other thing is when I turn the gas on, this tube is going to want to take off like a jet and go that way.
Watch
Okay.
out.
The fiber bundle is going to be under pressure and it's going to want to go that way like silly string, okay? So these three hang on to the tube. These two are the forefinger and thumb. These are the brakes. You pinch the fiber right at the point where it's coming out and you can control how fast it comes out.
You could also turn down the pressure significantly too, right?
Well, you still want to control it here even because this is where because you don't want to have a bunch of slop coming out of here. And if you're just going like this, I wouldn't trust it because you're going to get slack up in here that you don't want, and this is going to get real ugly and tight, real, so you want to keep this taut right here, okay? So this is only, 60 pounds, so I'm going to turn on the gas, and you can see right now, it's ready to go. So I just roll it up, you roll it up like a fresh bobbin, left to right. Trick is you don't want any popping and snapping and jerking because that's what hurts the glass, potential breakage like that. So you want smooth, smooth. Left to right, back and forth, left to right, nice and smooth, nice and rhythm. Save the gas, and then just keep rolling it up until it's gone. Okay.
Save my money.